Going to be talking now to my two special guests, Devon Taylor, Executive Director of JABBEM, Senior Biomedical Research Scientist in Immunology, working in the biopharmaceutical industry in the United States. Also going to be talking to Wilbourn Carr, Public Relations Officer of the Portland Environmental Action Group, both on the line. Good morning, Dr. Devon Taylor. Good morning, Mr. Wilbourn Carr. Thank you so much for joining, and my apologies for the late join, but thank you so much.
Good morning, Kabu. Good morning to your listeners. Good morning.
Greetings to all my Yamaha people.
Devon, I know you'd have hung. You hear that? I told Leslie that we're going Yamaha already, and she's not getting it, you know. But we're Yamaha people. See? Yamaha people. Yes, Devon. I mean, seriously, we have to claim that. Talking about that, so last time you were here, it was in relation to the reopening or the phased reopening of the Blue Lagoon. Just quickly, how did that go before we go further? Mr. Carr, how did that go in your opinion?
We had a great day on the 1st of June. The opening went well. Of course, as we knew all along, that the Jamaica National Heritage Trust got off to a late start in the preparation, because the plan they used to open the Blue Lagoon was one that we presented to them, and they fought over it for a while, and they got some agreement at the late moment, and they eventually applied one of the plans, the one that we really wanted, and we had a great day. It was there's a major cultural aspect to it. Mr. Alex Minot from the Maroons, he did a cultural maroon bath in the springs, and Kabu, you must come down to see that spring. It's so beautiful.
Where is that? And in the same, you're talking about a spring?
It's right at the top of the lagoon, not the part going out to sea. It's the one coming out of the earth. This water comes out of the earth, and at some point it pours out, and then it goes out in the lagoon underground, and it comes up like bubbles.
I will definitely come to see that, Mr. Carr. So that you're saying, all in all, the day went well. In spite of the opening, though, Devon, there are still some concerns that both the JABBEM and the Portland Environmental Action have. Can you talk to us about those concerns, Devon?
Yes. The Blue Lagoon, or the Blue Hole, is a sacred space. And it's just fitting that the conversation that you just had, just points to what is happening across Jamaica, which is the de-development of the people and the culture and the heritage out of Jamaica. All right, so it is significant for us to understand that the land and the people have connection, and we should not try to break that. So one of our big concerns here is that the JNHT and the government are not being fully transparent regarding the public's long-term access rights and conservation at the Blue Lagoon. And so, we are diving in, to really scrutinize that. And we are hoping this morning to engage the Jamaican people to be highly vigilant. And, we have these concerns because we do think, privatization, can occur at the lagoon.
All right, before you... All right, hold a thought. The JNHT is important to the conversation because the JNHT manages a property or owns a property.
So these are some of the things that we fully need to understand. All right, because I did not know that national monuments can be owned, and national monuments are owned. So, what does the JNHT own within that vicinity? The JNHT only owns, according to their argument, the body of water and a parochial road that is 1,500 meters. So the body of water and that parochial road is the only thing that the government of Jamaica through the GNHT own in that area.
Interesting, because you wonder, how is that possible? How is it possible to own just the body of the water? Because, for listeners to understand what you're saying, is that there's a road that leads to, a parochial road that leads to the Blue Lagoon, owned and operated, hopefully operated because it needs fixing, by the JNHT. And then it leads to the Blue Lagoon. But the Blue Lagoon is not just water alone, don't it? At least it has to involve the land that it rests on, because it rests on land. So you're saying even the land that the water rests, the land that the water rests on, that is not owned by, it's two different people owned. JNHT own the water and somebody else own the land that the water rests on.
Well, a couple of weeks. Sorry, Devon, go ahead.
Yeah, that is what the JNHT have really communicated to us and the public. All right, and it is because of the situation that they claim led to this protracted time in which the Blue Lagoon was not open, was because they had no land to put sanitary convenience and to put lifeguard stations or any office infrastructure that they wanted to put in there. They had no place to do that, so they had to now enter into negotiation with the landowners within that space to get permission to use their land.
All right,
for the operations of the Blue Lagoon.
Mr. Carr, from the Portland Environmental Action Group's perspective, what are you hearing? What do you know about this particular situation?
Okay. At the moment, Jamaica, while the Blue Lagoon is open, we now have bathrooms, we have public sanitary conveniences. What we were told, and this was said recently by Mr. Keru, is that there's an arrangement with the Sandals International. What he says is Sandals International now owns all the land around the Blue Lagoon. And the Jamaican National Heritage Trust has entered in a non-agreement because there is not a lease. It is what he says, it was through the generosity of Sandals International that they were able to reopen the Blue Lagoon, because Sandals International allowed them to use their land until when Sandals is ready for that land. So come next year, Kabu, and Jamaica people must understand this. If Sandals will want the land, then go and put up back the blue wall, lock out the people who want to go to the Blue Lagoon. We wouldn't be able to go back to the beautiful spring I'm talking to you about. And so you should do that very early. They will be able to lock out the people who want to go to the Blue Lagoon to use public facilities because they are on Sandals land. And that is how precarious the situation is.
Right. All right, let me take a quick break and come back, please. Now, when we talk about structural violence, listen to this now. A power outage on Sunday morning, which is this morning, has impacted sections of St. Andrew due to a suspected fault on a section of the circuit. According to the Jamaica Public Service, the outage took place at about 7:40 a.m. That's just a few minutes ago. Yesterday, as I told you, almost all of the island, if not all of the island, was without electricity for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, depending where you were, and then some people still don't get it back yet. So here we are. We're having all these power outages on the island while they're giving themselves all kinds of salary increases and sell out JPS and so on and so forth. This neoliberal agenda is going to make us mad if we're not careful, but we're not going to get mad. We're going to stand up and fight back in every possible way that we can. We have enough water to generate electricity in Jamaica. We have enough water to do a lot of stuff in Jamaica, but they're selling out the water. They're giving away the water. The water is now owned and controlled by private interests and by governments like China and Europe and so on. This is ridiculous. Here we go again. Now we're talking about water. My very special guest on the line, Dr. Devon Taylor of JABBEM, and Mr. Wilbourn Carr of the Jamaica Environmental Action Group out there in Portland. So I heard what you said just now, Mr. Carr, going into the break. Devon, what are your main fears now? What do you think is likely to happen with this situation that both you and Mr. Carr outlining for us? The ownership of Blue Lagoon is in question because it seems as if government and the JNHT, which is run by the Ministry of Culture, headed by Babsy Grange, seems not to know exactly what is happening there, it appears to me, but seems to be begging Sandals for a catch at Jamaica, at the Blue Lagoon.
Yes. So the big concern and the fear is privatization, all right? Which, the privatization would lead to restriction, which would create, an exclusive economic zone, which will then discriminate against Jamaicans, and especially Jamaicans of low socioeconomic status. That's a big concern. Another concern is that, this could become like another Puerto Rico, where there are days where, tourists use the space and Jamaicans are excluded. Because we see that model. And then the big loser in all of this is the Blue Lagoon itself, from suffering from environmental degradation. Because if we have a renowned hotelier owning all the lands around the Blue Lagoon, it must be for a reason. Now we just remember that Dragon Bay, also borders the Blue Lagoon. It's part of the Blue Lagoon lands. Is that space, and that space has been closed down for the last 25 years. So, what we do see here is a concentration of ownership of the lands around the Blue Lagoon, and that just kind of, lends itself to the question, will there be privatization within the space? And that is our big concern, because we can see all the restrictions that were put in place, while the lagoon was, quote-unquote, under development, with a parochial road was under the control of mercenaries, because the JNHT said they were not the one, the parish council said they were not the one, TPD could say they were not the one. Nobody knew who was paying for security on the parochial road that the government owns.
We might have to check to see if it probably was a Wagner group from Russia.
Go ahead, Wilbourn.
And to this day, that security post remains on the Blue Lagoon, on that road.
The security post is still there and nobody knows who's paying the security?
No.
But that must be reported to the police.
But the police is known, because someone sent me a video last week, that they went to the lagoon and were turned away, and they were in altercation with the ones that were holding that space. And I'm here to tell Jamaica people that this parochial road is a public road. No private interest can put a station on a road and tell Jamaicans that they can't, and then the security apparatus of the state is not the one paying that or controlling it, or any logical reason why that road is closed down for all these many months. So there's some complicity, there are some collusion, there are some
I would not say, I cannot say that Minister Babsy Grange would allow that to happen. No, I refuse to believe that Minister Babsy Grange would allow that kind of mercenary activity on a parochial road in Portland. So what have we heard from Minister Grange, if anything, Mr. Carr?
We have not heard directly from her. Her team is a part of the Jamaica National Heritage Trust.
No, but you have to leave the Jamaica National Heritage Trust now. Obviously, they don't know. These are career people, You can't. They don't have. You have to go to Minister Grange. These career people cannot tell you anything. These are people who just getting them pay, coming to work and getting them pay. If them get a better job, they probably wouldn't even be there. They do not know. This is a policy decision, if anything. So this is a Minister Grange issue. Minister Babsy Grange will have to answer this question. And I think it's about time that both the PEA and JABBEM move away from the Jamaica National Heritage Trust and go directly to the Ministry of Culture, responsible for the Jamaica National Heritage Trust, and to the minister herself, or if not the Director of Culture or the Permanent Secretary within the Ministry of Culture. This is above the pay grade of the people at the Jamaica National Heritage Trust, Mr. Carr. Devon.
I think that the minister has one more shot at this week on Thursday. The Jamaica National Heritage Trust and the private interests who closed down the Blue Lagoon, they will endorse the opening that we did on on June 1st, this Thursday. I want to see what comes out of that, because number one, if an arrangement, a long-term arrangement, and I don't mean arrangement for 5 years or 10 years or 20 years. If a long-term arrangement does not come out of that opening on Thursday, we will take other action, because we are right on the edge of losing the Blue Lagoon. The Jamaican people will see one more of its greatest assets go into private hands, and we will not have access to it.
So you're saying that this is smoke and mirrors, all this opening? I mean, opening on June 1, then official opening on June 15. You're saying this is likely smoke and mirrors?
Of course, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Unless, and I say unless, the minister is coming down on Thursday to declare all the lands around the Blue Lagoon a National Heritage Park. If she does not do that, I can guarantee you we will end up either here or the Blue Lagoon will be gone from the people of Jamaica.
Devon, are you aware that the head of Sandals, of the Sandals Group, has been named as an envoy/ambassador for Jamaica, working out of the Prime Minister's office? Are you aware of that?
Yes, we are aware of that arrangement. The details of how this person execute their responsibilities, I'm not sure of. What powers is interested in this ambassadorship, we are not aware of that. But what Wilbourn just pointed to is something, and you brought up right into the minister, and we will, because it's only through the declaration of the Blue Lagoon and all its ecosystem and all the lands that support the Blue Lagoon is made into a national park, and the government can use the Land Acquisition Act to really take the property that is required for the sustainability of the space, for the protection of the access of Jamaicans to the space. Then we will lose this Blue Lagoon. I do not know how a proclamation could have been made that this is a monument, and they did not acquire the necessary lands to do so. It is very weird. And so this process of making the lagoon a monument has been going on before independence. From in 1960, they are considered to do so and inform the ownership in that space. And I suspect that the ownership within the lagoon, there is basically 120 acres of land, in and around the vicinity of the Blue Lagoon, has pushed back on this. And so we want some clarity Okay, because one thing I saw in the press release that the JNHT put out on March the 3rd is that there are some co-management agreement with all the stakeholders. And I don't know who all those stakeholders are, and we don't know what is that co-management agreement. And that is when I went and read the JNHT Act of 1985, and then I understood that national monuments can be owned. So right now we could have ownership of the national monument in there because they state that there's co-management agreement. So there's so much layers of complication that the Jamaican people deserve to know what are these agreements in place, how does that protect the space, and how does it protect Jamaican access rights. And now we understand that the renowned hotelier now owns all that property that surrounds Blue Lagoon, and that individual is an ambassador to the government of Jamaica. There is just so many layers here that we need to unpack, because transparency is of utmost importance when you run a country, when you manage a national monument, when you are, you know what I mean, protecting your people and protecting environment. And that's one of our biggest concerns right here.
All right, hold a line for me. Let me take a quick break. All right, we're back with you inside of the Africa Forum. This is Running Africa, and very, very, very concerning and in some cases bordering on vexing issue regarding the Blue Lagoon. So much to unpack, so much to unravel. Could it be that the Jamaica National Heritage Trust is involved and engaged in a game of smoke and mirrors as far as the Blue Lagoon is concerned? What does the Minister of National Culture know? What does Olivia Babsy-Grange know? And why has she not said anything throughout all of this when she is a minister with responsibility for the Jamaica National Heritage Trust? They have put this young lady from the Jamaica National Heritage Trust out into the open to be eaten by sharks, literally to be eaten. And she doesn't know, she cannot say, she doesn't know. It's an agency that operates to the extent that you can't put that person out. You better put the chairman or you put the minister. The person you're putting out, she does not know. It is unfair to continue to do this to this young lady, and I will speak on her behalf. We know she does not know. She cannot answer any of these questions. Devon, if you were to speak to Minister Grange, what questions would you put to her this morning?
Well, the questions I would really, ask her is that we do need a declaration of all the stakeholders that are managing the Blue Lagoon. We need to fully understand that. We need an immediate release of the co-management agreement, that we have entered in with all the individuals which are in this space. And one other thing I'd say to her, that I want her to exercise her power under the Land Acquisition Act through the Commission of Lands to obtain all the necessary lands around the Blue Lagoon. In the same way
she has done with the Mwalimu Marcus Mosiah Garvey's house. She's doing that right now, exercising that very same power. She's doing that at this minute. She has already relocated, or at least yes, I think they have been relocated, the people who are in the house. So I think for August coming up, we might be getting some big announcement about the home, the birth home of Mwalimu Marcus Mosiah Garvey, even though he probably wasn't born there. But she has already exercised that power. Go ahead. Go ahead, Devon.
Absolutely. So we know that has precedent in Jamaica, so we'll ask her to exercise that. We'll ask her to release the full scope and the timeline, for the return of economic activities and what those would be, as it concerns to the livelihood of the Blue Lagoon Alliance, because I think they also are in a precarious position and do not really understand what's at stake for them, that the economic livelihood of the ones who are operating in that space is also a threat. And we do not want that parochial road to be privatized. We do not want the usage of the parochial road to be by permission. Jamaicans must freely be able to walk along that road and enjoy their ecological heritage. And here's one final ask would have for her. I think it is important to exclude any government official who may have conflicts of interest in and around the Blue Lagoon, because they have personal business or personal home from any decision making regarding the operations, the sustainability within the lagoon.
Let me hear what you just said. You're saying because these are questions you're putting to the minister, and you're saying to her one of the things that you would like to see done, that is Minister Grange, is the exclusion of any government operative, any government minister from anything to do with the Blue Lagoon at the minute. Any government minister who may have a conflict of interest. So if the government minister live at Blue Lagoon, or if the government minister have a company working at Blue Lagoon, or if the government minister have any interest in Blue Lagoon, or if any of his family members, you're saying to the minister that this is a conflict of interest, and so that government minister or those government ministers must be excluded from any negotiations around the Blue Lagoon right now.
Absolutely. And that is for transparency. It's just like, if a judge, is too close to a case, if a police officer is too close to a case, it's you got to step away, for the transparency or for objectivity, to happen in this space. And this is not, say you're saying that the person is complicit in any kind of corrupt means. You're saying that it could taint the process and give that impression to the public that, we are seeing strong arm, activity, we're seeing illicit behavior.
It's a conflict of interest. Conflict of interest, and we understand what it means. We're not saying that somebody has done anything wrong. We're just saying that where there is a conflict of interest, especially on the part of in a situation where government is involved, that we are saying that if there's a minister or ministers or members of parliament who have anything to do with the Blue Lagoon, excuse yourself. And we're saying to the minister that they should excuse themselves. Let us just say that and move on a little bit. Are you sure, Mr. Carr, that road has not been privatized already?
No, not up until February of this year.
Well, this is June.
Yes, but it hasn't shown up anywhere. We have some researchers keeping a very close eye on what is going on. I am very concerned. We agree, as the Port and Environmental Action Group agree, that there is not enough parking in the Blue Lagoon, especially probably on a holiday. However, we do not want to be forced and sent to another person's space to park for pay, right? That's another thing. Mm-hmm. There are areas out in Sansan, near to the Sansan Beach area on the side of the road that people can park. And we don't want to be told that we have to go and park at somebody else's place.
Well, can I tell you something? I don't know if you know about this, but in the middle of COVID, the people of St. Anne, on the border of St. Anne and St. Mary up in the hills, they lost the Blue Hole, right? The Blue Hole was a place that I used to go, that I know a lot of people here at Irie FM used to go. We just go out there, go chill. We made a big deal of it. In the middle of COVID, while we were on lockdown, even though people demonstrated, they lost the Blue Hole in St. Anne. Let me just tell you that straight up. I don't even know who bought it. I don't have a clue who owned it. I'm just saying to you that the people have lost it. Right?
And Kabu, that is our real fear here. It's something that Jamaicans, when you hear this broadcast this morning, you should have goosebumps and say, well, look, I have never been at the Blue Lagoon, but you know what? What's going on here tells me that, you know what? I may never get to go there because it is not access by choice, it's access. Somebody tells you when you can go or when you cannot go or how many people you can take there.
It's a very serious situation. Jamaica is becoming a landlocked country. I know it was attributed again to Muta, but I said Jamaica is becoming a landlocked country. It is what it is. We are becoming a landlocked country. They're talking about corridors, and they're making literal corridors. If you drive from Orakabesa to Otrius right now, you're driving through a corridor. You know what I'm telling you? Because they have created fences. They have built fences and they have built walls. So now the roadway has become a corridor. They are using the word corridor. we have to wrap, but let me just get a final word in from both of you. This is ridiculous, and if we do not take a stand right now, then that is the end of that for us. This is where we have to draw the line. But go ahead, I'll give you the last words, Devon.
Kabu, I just wrap up by saying it was great for the reopening on the 1st of June. We had a great time, and I want to say this, and I've said it on every broadcast. The bathrooms that we saw on the 1st of June, because of private owners, they have been locked away from the public for over 20 years.
Oh,
and if I were to give Sandals some credit this morning,
yes,
I want to say thanks to them for opening back those bathrooms.
At least Sandals has done that. So yes, good look on your part, Sandals. But Sandals also has a responsibility, corporate social responsibility, to say to the government, if the government not saying to them, we will give you the piece of land around this as part of our corporate social responsibility, so that we're not locking out the people of Jamaica. Sandals has been part of the very fabric of Jamaica for so many years, that for it to participate in what is unfolding in at the Blue Lagoon, not looking so good. So, Mr. Sandals, you do have that corporate social responsibility. You have gone as far as to, open the toilets, because you do own the land, and if somebody owns something, you can't say them not own it. But so what do you do?
Sorry, but me now be so kind still. You can't take away one and give it other. And I read away there. These lands are Jamaican people lands. We acknowledge the whole situation.
Wasn't the land sold to these people? Wasn't it sold to Sandals?
I don't know the story. What we do see is that the titles are in a company called Lockstone Holding Limited and Blue Oil Limited.
Called what? Called what?
Lockstone Holding Limited and Blue Oil Holding Limited.
Do we know who owned those companies?
Well, that's a thing where maybe the journalists or maybe the minister can really tell the Jamaican people the real story around that. This is beyond PEA and JABBEM pay grade.
It's above your pay grade.
Our pay grade and so what we're asking though, we want the Jamaican people to really let their voices be heard. We want them to continue to lobby for the Blue Lagoon and its associated ecosystem, the land and all the mangroves and all the trees there, to really become a national park. And we're asking them to let their voice be heard. We're saying to Jamaican people, you need to lobby NEPA, you need to lobby the JNHT. We're going to do the same, and we're telling them never accept permission to traverse that parochial road. That's your road to get to your lagoon. Do not let them remove your rights from there. All right? And that's we're asking you to be vigilant.
Yes. Thank you for that, Devon. We're going to leave it there, and we'll follow up on this most definitely. In the meantime, we're calling on the minister with responsibility for the Blue Lagoon, as we understand it, Minister Babs Grange, to step up to the plate and address the people of Jamaica as to what is happening with the Blue Lagoon, and stop putting that little young girl out in the public space, because you know very well that she cannot answer the questions that the media is asking her. Thank you so much, Devon. Thank you so much, Mr. Carr.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And your listeners this morning.